I've sung it before. It's called Ana Bechoach. And the words in full, and I'm sorry that they're not in our prayer book, are Ana Bechoach, Gedulat Yamincha, Tatir Tserura, Kabel Rinat Amcha, Sagvenu Torenu Nura. We beg you, God, from the strength and the greatness of your right arm, untangle our knots. Koach is energy, a sense of physical or even spiritual strength. And if you speak modern Hebrew and you're just exhausted and you don't want to do something, you'd say, Ein li koach, I don't have koach. So when we sing Ana Bechoach, I'm inviting us to really summon that strength and hope that this Shabbat we replenish ourselves for the immense work that we need to be engaged in and that is ahead of us. So I'm going to lead us in singing it. Please do join in as you're able to. And I'm sorry
Facebook is working.
Yes, I know. So I'm sorry that I'm not able to put the words up on the screen this week. Ana bechoach, bechoach, gedulat yemincha, yemincha, tatir tzerura, kabel rinat amcha, Sagvenu torenu nora. Ana bechoach, bechoach, gedulat yemincha, yemincha, tatzir tzerura, kabel rinat amcha, sagvenu torenu nora. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. So we're going to sing the Chadodi now. It's on page 20 and 21. And we'll sing verses 1 and 2 and 5 and 9. And when we get to the last verse, we'll rise and face the entrance to our home or wherever we are and let that Shabbat bride, that Shabbat queen, that beautiful Shekhinah, the intimate indwelling presence of the divine come in. Lai, 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 lai. Ya, lai, 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 lai. Ya, la, lai, lai, yai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Lecha dodi, likrat kala, lenei Shabbat. apologize for the tech issues earlier. And because we weren't live on Facebook at the beginning, I want to invite you to greet one another in the chat if you are watching on Facebook and would like to wish one another a Shabbat Shalom and to take your deep breaths and your complete exhales. If you didn't hear me say that at the very beginning of the service, welcome, and we're glad you're here. Let's do our psalm of awe. Ma Gadlu. The top of page 342, if you're following along in the book. Some of us will sing Hallelujah, and some will sing the words written there from Psalm 92. Ma Gadlu Ma'asechaya, Me'od Amku Machshavotecha. Feel free to put some things into the chat about something that brought you awe or wonder today or this week. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 Magalu, Maasechaya, Me'odamku Machshevotecha. We'll turn to Untitled Kaddish on page 26. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei tachol beit Yisrael v'agala ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ויאמרו amen. Please rise if you are able, or rise in spirit. On page 28, we will recite the Baruch Hu, the call to worship. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach leolam va'ed. And I'm on page 30. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריף ערבים. Blessed is the one who literally evenings the evening, Ma'ariv Aravim, translated here as brings on evening. We give thanks to a source far beyond our comprehension that enables this universe to be sustained by light and also by darkness, as we have cycles of light and darkness, as seasons change and as we change our position in relation to the sun. One of the many miracles that we recall and really give thanks for on Shabbat. Let's sing Ahavat Olam, page 32. Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ata Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shochveinu u'v'kumenu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu ve'orech yameinu Uvahem neger yomam v'layla yomam v'layla Ve'ahavat ha'aretz asir mimenu le'olamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. If you've been standing, you can be seated now. We'll turn to Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem, Amen. Going to read a bit in the English on page 39 before we continue with Michamocha. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. You turn to Michamocha, page 40.
going to turn to page 42 and remind ourselves that everything is going to be all right. Remind ourselves that in the words of Rabbi Rami Shapiro, we are loved by an unending love. We are held by this universe because we hold each other up, because we are bound together energetically through love, through our commitment, our covenant, all of humanity's covenant with God, symbolized by the rainbow, and the Jewish people's covenant to partner with God in being on the side of life and goodness, justice, and compassion in this world. So we'll sing the first lines on page 42. You can close your eyes, be in touch with that sense of safety and security that we all know deep within us. Guard our going out and our coming in, l'chaim u'le'shalom, for life and peace, me'ata ve'adolam, from now until eternity. Baruch atah Adonai, blessed are you, source of life, haporei sukat shalom, the one who spreads over us the shelter of peace. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, who spreads over the shelter of peace upon us and all God's people Israel. Ve'al Yerushalayim. And take a moment to send out that peace to every living being. We are all connected. Every life is precious. May all life know safety and security. We're going to turn to the Amidah now, with beginning with prayer that we be able to pray on page 46, and then moving through the first three blessings together, and then some private prayer using the book or any other reflection or meditation you'd like to do. Then we'll join back together with Shalom Rav, a prayer for peace. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הצל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Take some private moments for prayer. And we turn to page 60 for Shalom Rav, prayer for peace. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Ki ata hu melech adom, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adom, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. B'tov beinecha nevarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל to do our Mishaberach Lecholim, our prayer for healing for those who are ill, a little bit differently. We're going to sing the words Ana El Na, Refana La, which is a plea that Moses says in this Torah portion this week, referring to his sister Miriam, who was afflicted with scales on her skin. Some people think it's leprosy. She's afflicted. I'll talk more about it when I share some words of Torah with you. Moses offers this incredible plea that is almost a palindrome in Hebrew. Ana el na refa na la. Please, God, heal her. I'm going to invite you to put names in the chat or say them aloud of those for whom you're praying for healing of body or of spirit. I'll give you a moment to do that. And we're going to introduce you to this melody. It was written by Nava Tehillah, a group from Jerusalem that had been scheduled to come and lead services with us on May 8th, which we've had to postpone. And we hope that we'll be able to be together in community with them at some point in the future for a Shabbat service. Okay, so we're going to start. You'll catch on quickly. There's two parts. Spiritual or physical healing from the effects of COVID-19, and also those who are in need of physical or spiritual healing from the effects of any acts of violence and racial injustice, whether acts of racial injustice or violence that has hurt those in response to racial injustice. So we think of so many in our world who are in need of healing tonight. And from our community, we remember for healing Linda Hoffman, Elena Kazarovsky, Susan Lieberman, Ira Chevelle, and Harvey Solomon. May everyone who we've mentioned in our hearts and aloud and in writing know full and complete healing. So as I said, that comes from this week's Torah portion, Baha'alotcha. A few words to summarize where we are in Torah. The Israelites are picking up their journey from after having been encamped at Mount Sinai, and they're about to move on. But the very first thing that the Torah portion tells us is a lot of detail around the menorah. Now, when I say menorah, you likely think of what you light on Hanukkah. So a menorah is actually the 7-branched candelabra that was in the Mishkan and then later in the temple. And a Chanukiah is more accurately the word for the 8-branched, 8-candled candelabra that we light on Hanukkah. So a lot of details are given from God to Moses to give to Aaron to light these lights in a certain way, and a lot of detail around how the menorah itself was constructed, and we learn that it was constructed entirely out of hammered gold. So keep that in mind. Lots of verses about light, and it seems it could have really been a lot more precise, and we know that our sages understood that never to be just poor editing, but rather really trying to bring us a particular message. So there's something there about light. There's something else in our Torah portion about light, which is the pillar of, it's both cloud and fire. So it's the divine presence in a physical manifestation, which of course we know God is not a physical being. But at this stage in their development, the Israelites need, especially in the unknown of the wilderness with all of its challenges that I've spoken about with you many weeks in a row, especially in the Midbar, in the wilderness, and at this stage in their development as a people, which you could really look at as if it's like the development of a child and what are the stages of maturity. At this stage, the Israelites need their blankie. You know, if you're a child, a baby, a comfort object would have a comfort object. This sort of physical reminder to them of a divine presence seems necessary for them. And what form does it take? At night, it takes the form of fire. And even more importantly, it's a cloud, but at night it's fire. So again, light. And the Israelites really take their direction from this cloud or pillar of fire. And whenever the cloud lifted from the tent, our text tells us, the Israelites would set out accordingly. And at the spot where the cloud settled, there the Israelites would make camp. The verse says they didn't journey on when the cloud lingered over the tabernacle many days. So they took their cues about when it was time to move on from this cloud or sort of presence of fire. So because of the miracles of technology, which as we have seen tonight, sometimes don't work in our favor, but have brought a lot of wonderful blessings for many of us as we can take advantage of learning from many, many teachers across the Jewish world and attending services online. Today, I happened to stumble across on Facebook a friend, colleague, wonderful rabbi named Asher Lopatin, who is now in Detroit and was in Chicago for many years and then New York. Asher was giving a teaching live on Facebook, just a couple of minutes for his congregants and anyone who wanted to hear him about the Torah portion. And I stumbled upon it, listened to it, and found it so inspiring that I wanted to include it tonight. So Asher says this is the Torah portion all about when the whole people is ready to move on. The text specifically says that the people, did not move on. They all have to be ready to move on at the same time, and it's all taking a cue from this cloud fire. And Rav Lopatin said that he thinks that this is tied to, we can tie it to the story of Miriam and the fact that she is stricken with this horrible disease, this skin disease. And why is she stricken with the disease? Because Miriam and Aaron spoke out against their sister, against their brother Moses. We have lots of examples of siblings not getting along so well in Torah. And this is our example that comes from the wilderness, where everybody is exhausted. It's much like where we are in our pandemic midbar, in our journey through our pandemic wilderness, right? Everybody's tired. It's what I mentioned at the beginning. I was thinking about the 3-month mark, which it is this weekend. And I was thinking actually about pregnancy since I've had 3 of them. But the first trimester, right? It feels so long. By the end of the first trimester, you're exhausted and you still have 2 more to go. In our case, we don't know how many more chunks of months we have to go through this, but we're tired and everyone's cranky. The Israelites are complaining. They are longing for the food they had back in Egypt. And Moses basically says to God, like, why am I in charge of these people? What do I have to be their mother? I'm not their mother. I didn't conceive them. I didn't bear them. Why do I have to take care of them as a mother would? So there's all this negativity. And Miriam and Aaron speak out against Moses. Why? Here specifically, because of the Cushite woman he had married. That's what it says in the text. What is Cushite? It could be Ethiopian, from a particular geographic location. Was there a difference in skin color of this woman that Moses married or not? I don't know. I don't know, and there may be commentary to read on that. But they were angry about the woman that he'd married, who was an outsider, who was from another place. And they question his leadership as well. And they say, well, why has God spoken only through Moses? He's, isn't he speaking to us too? Now, God gets very angry that Aaron and Miriam are speaking so harshly about Moses, especially because Moses was very humble. The text actually says he was more humble than any man on earth. So what does God do? He calls to Moses and Aaron and Miriam, come out to the tent of meeting. The Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. Makes me think of, don't make me come down there if you're a parent. Well, he came down there, calls out Aaron and Miriam, and the 2 of them come to the entrance of the tent. And he says, Moses, he's amazing. I speak more directly with Moses than I do anyone else. And he's so humble. And how could you speak against him? And it seems that Miriam was the instigator of this nasty talk about Moses. And so she is the one who is punished. She's stricken with this skin disease. And Aaron says to Moses, account not to us the sin which we committed in our folly. Basically, he expresses some remorse. And Moses cries out, Ana elna refanala, please, God, heal her. But God says to Moses that Miriam will have to be shut out from the camp for 7 days, and then she'll be readmitted. And now here's the verse. And the whole people, Kol Ha'am, did not march on until Miriam was readmitted. After that, the people set out. So here's what Rav Lopatin taught today. That the people, much like our country, cannot move on until we have done the work of teshuvah, of a deep, soul-searching act of repentance, looking at what we've done, which means we have to stop. In Miriam's case, she had to be away from the camp. And this image of light, I want to weave this together too. The image of light is we see even what we don't want to see. Rabbi Alan Liu, Zichrono Livracha, said that during the High Holy Days and the month of introspection that precedes them, we're supposed to go down into ourselves with a flashlight and look, almost like on Passover. Before Passover, we search for the chametz with a flame or flashlight. We look for what doesn't belong there. Rav Lopatin taught that our nation is going through a process of a light being shined out, shown, I don't know what the right grammatical form of the verb is, but a light shining outward into our history that we must look at, that we must reckon with the history of racism in our nation before we can move on. But he says that there can be and there will be healing, but there can only be healing when we stop. We don't move on. That pillar of fire, that cloud is stopped. And maybe that light is telling us, and this is sort of my interpretation of Rav Lopatin's text. I'm embellishing a little bit what he said, but I think maybe the light really has something to do with it. We know the Torah portion begins with all the details of light. We know that this pillar of fire is accompanying them. And now there's something really profound about this incredible prayer, Ana Elna, Rafana La, and it's the deepest kind of plea for healing, but it takes time. Healing takes time. It takes light. It takes reflection. It takes not backing away from what we don't wish to see. And then his teaching really focused on the fact that it's the Am. It's the whole people. It's very easy for those of us, especially I think in the north, right? In the north, we don't think of north and south so much, maybe, in the way that we did during the time of slavery. But we might think here in Boston we're more enlightened. Well, we know that's not true. We know that racial injustice, horrific acts of racial injustice are a part of our systems throughout our country. And what Rav Lopatin said is you can't point fingers at other people and expect that then the country will be able to move on. Each one of us has a responsibility, really, to go down into ourselves with a flashlight. What have we done? Now, again, I want to say that I know I'm speaking to Black members of our community. So I'm not saying what can we as white people do to make tshuva, to make repentance. Because when I'm speaking to Jewish people, I'm speaking to white people and to Black people and to all people of color who are part of our community. What I am saying is kol ha'am, all of us, we are one people. Some of us are also Black. And each one of us has to look at what can we do in order to move on, in order to heal from the most painful history of our country, which a great big light has been shining on. It was always here. It's been, you could argue, emboldened over the last number of years, but it never went away. It didn't go away after slavery was abolished, and we need to take stock. We need to be together as an Am. Every one of us has a role to play in helping our country move on. It's not one region, it's not certain groups of people. We each have to, for our own healing, we need to pause and look at the past so that we can move on. So my blessing for this Shabbat is that we continue to work towards some more reflection, even if we feel that we haven't been part of the problem or that we've been active. I think there's more educating of ourselves and more that we can do. I hope that this Shabbat will replenish your soul to give you the strength to do that work. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to sing one more time, Ana Elna Refanala, to wrap that up, and then we'll move toward concluding our service. Ana Elna Refanala, Ana Elna Refanala. Back in the prayer book, we're on page 282 for Aleinu. Please rise in body or spirit. Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer bereshit. Shehu note shamayim veyoser aretz, umoshav yikaro v'shamayim yima'al. ושכינתו זו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו this time we recite Mourners Kaddish. If you are observing a yard site or in a period of mourning and would like to mention a name aloud or in the Facebook chat, please do. I'd like to acknowledge that it is the yard site of my father, Gerald Marcus. Monday will be the Hebrew date of his yard site, and Wednesday is the date according to the Gregorian calendar. So other names, give you a moment, and we'll recite Mourners Kaddish, which is on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kori v'imru, amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'elam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal shmei d'kodesha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. I have a few announcements tonight. Tomorrow morning I'll be leading a Torah study with a little bit of singing thrown in for good measure, in addition to our prayer for healing, prayer for our country, a prayer for Israel, and the Mourners Kaddish. Please join us at 10:30, but I should have said this first. Donna Rubinoff is leading her mindfulness and meditation session at 9 o'clock. That's also over Zoom. All the information's in the newsletter on the website. And then my session will be at 10:30, also over Zoom. Also, the links can be found the same ways. And this week, the class that I mentioned last week will be starting on Wednesday, June 17th from 12 to 1. The name of the class is Sustaining Our Souls, Spiritual Wisdom, Poetry, Music, and Texts for Our Times. It's a mouthful. But basically, we're going to get together and engage with some texts that might be in written form, might be in audio form or video form, which can just help us in this moment. And I will be sending out in our newsletter some of the resources we'll be looking at together. That will come to you on Monday. And what else? I would like to thank Larry Green, our beloved member and past president, for a beautiful, thoughtful message, very powerful message he wrote as our Shabbat message in our newsletter today. And I'd also just like to remind everyone watching that I am so happy to connect with you. I would be very happy to hear from you, whether or not you are a member. Maybe you're tuning in from somewhere else. But I am available by phone, by Zoom, FaceTime, email, and of course really look forward to being together with everyone in person. But please feel free to be in touch, whether it's about a Dvar Torah, if you have a question, a concern, or anything else at all. I know Rabbi Schaefer is very much committed as well. We are here for you throughout these days. So we're going to conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi, and then reminding ourselves to build a world from love with Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Vayerev vayivoker yom hashishi, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה. ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ספרי, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציית מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. Chala. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Some of you might not know the custom that, or really it's Jewish law, that you can't say a blessing for something without then following it by the act of whatever you're blessing. So we just gave thanks for the bread, and you're supposed to then right away eat a piece of the bread, even if you don't want to be eating the bread on camera. But we don't want to make a blessing for something that we are not actually right away about to enjoy. We want it to be right before. So just to explain that, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Let's sing that together. I think a lot of you tuning in know the words by now. Seems like they become more important, the words of this ancient psalm, every day. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Shalom. I miss you. Next week, we are going to try something a little more interactive. We'll still be streaming the way that we are now, but I will be on Zoom, and we'll send that out so that I can see more of you. I really am longing to see you. I can see some of the chat, but not all, and know that it's really important to me to see you just as you can see me. So stay tuned, but you'll be able to watch us directly from the website and from Facebook, just as you did tonight, at least after the first 15 minutes of issue. And but also you'll be able to join on Zoom if you'd like to join in that way. So stay tuned for details. I miss so many of you and look forward to getting to know those of you I don't know, whether by phone, by Zoom, or in person soon. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Shabbat Shalom.